No,
you're still watching the Frontline. You're still watching the Frontline on NBS TV, and we're talking about early tours by leading contenders. The one for the National Unity Platform, Robert Senta Muchagulanyi, came second in the last election. He says his vote was rigged. And Yoweri Museveni, candidate for the National Resistance Movement, who's been president for quite some time now, who have hit the
decades,
road.
Not some time. That's not a number. 4 decades.
4 decades. Yes, 38 years going on to 39.
Yeah, so we're counting.
Just let me conclude.
Yes, before you conclude, just to remind our viewers that we're still following closely the by-election for Kisoro District Woman Member of Parliament, and as soon as we have results coming from there, we will break broadcasting here to bring you that update when that happens. But if you want to follow the election closely, Afro Mobile is giving a minute-by-minute update on what is going on in Kisoro right now, so you can check it out as you watch this show. I have a few viewers who are sending some messages. Let me just read a couple. Ken Mutenyo is watching us and says the president's tours should not raise any hula baloo because he is a politician. Likewise, politicians in the opposition side should do the same. The problem to be discussed and a solution found is why some security people block the opposition. Campaigning for the next elections starts immediately after announcing results of an election. That's a message from Ken Mutenyo. Arali BMRM says, I find it shameful for the government in power to keep saying they were rigged in Kampala. It means they are not in control. Yet the government controls every organ, electoral commission, security, etc. That Medina and Barnabas, how can you be saying that you're rigged when you're in charge?
Your ardent viewer and listener,
we've got to accept.
Charles, wondering whether Medina actually made any
just a minute, she's giving us some information. Yes,
there's another. Kassos is a viewer, ardent listener and viewer of this program.
There is another one.
He's wondering whether Medina made any prayers.
Go to Barakamiru, Medina. Medina is a serious Muslim.
It's like someone to be lying like that, a Muslim person to be lying like that.
It's very painful.
Does she actually pray? I'm giving feedback. He's wondering whether actually Medina prays.
I don't know what he means by lies, because he would be the one lying, because he doesn't maybe understand.
You are alleging that he has capacity of taking Museveni's agents from
yes,
the
they're just
station.
Our agents, and why would I lie about that?
James Salemi
in Chiboga they did.
James Salemi says, I am happy today the show is well balanced as far as gender is concerned. NRM without President Museveni is like a car without a driver. Well, NUP without Bobi Wine is like a car that has run out of fuel. James Salemi, ardent follower of the show. Yes, Hajat Medina.
So, Charles, what I wanted to say is that you asked a question earlier that is this campaign that the president, the wealth creation campaign that the president has been involved in for some time now, is it, are we seeing results? I think yes. We wouldn't be talking about 61% of Ugandans who are now in the money economy. And what the president is now doing is actually to ensure that we push the 39% that are in subsistence into the money economy. But also what I wanted to highlight to our brothers in the opposition is that everything the president does is not good enough. When he's not visiting his people, they are asking, where is the president? What is he doing? When he decides to move out and interact with these people, it is an issue. But actually, they are now copying the president. That's why you see Bobi Wine is also jumping up and down, trying to do the same. And you ask my sister several times, what is their tour about? They will never tell you because it is not issue-based. It is just following what President Museveni is doing, and also wanting to be seen that they are doing issue? That. Why, you asked why now? Why are we doing the tour now? I think I told you the focus now is on the PDM, mainly the PDM, though there are other government programs like the Myoga, the Youth Livelihood Fund. Previously we had the OWC, the NADS. which are also being monitored by the president in his wealth creation campaign. However, the focus on the PDM, he wouldn't come in 2021 before we've given out any money. He could not come out in 2022 when we had not given out any substantial amount to Ugandans. So the first rollout of large sums of money was by 2023. And as I speak, we've given out, the NRM government has given out close to 2.4 trillion in terms of the parish development model money to the parish circles. And so we had to give some time to be able to gauge progress. We would,
is this work being managed by the Office of the President, or is it being managed by the Secretariat?
This is a program of the president as the president of Uganda. That's why I told you that he is not campaigning, because when he's campaigning, it will be a presidential candidate whose program will be entirely managed by the party. But as we speak, the program is entirely managed by government.
Barnabas Tinkasemina, let me come to you.
Before Barnabas comes in, I imagine
but
they
you have
needed...
also spoken too much,
No,
Aisha.
I have not commented on the president's tours. I haven't.
No,
And
no,
everybody, each one of them
you have
has.
had your time.
No, I haven't.
We're not just talking about
The
President
difference
Museveni.
is
They don't have an
Hold a
agenda.
moment, Honorable
Mambusha,
Kabanda.
the
don't
difference
have
that
an
they
agenda.
they attacked my president. That's when I came in to explain.
There is no
we're not
agenda.
just
But
talking
each
about...
one of them has commented on the tours of the President and I have not.
No,
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 you
we're
have
not just
asked
talking
spoken a
you.
about...
number of times.
They asked you, you didn't respond.
A number of times,
The
and
framing
you
of the
decided
discussion
to use it
is
to
that
do other
we're
things.
looking at the tours of political party leaders. You have your leader moving the country, and I did ask you questions about that, not just President Museveni.
And I asked you to allow me use a few minutes, respond
Yes.
to the allegations
You
they
would
had
have
made
your time. You
about
would have
my
your time.
president.
May I take my
you
turn,
allow
Charles?
me also, because I didn't come to watch them, may you allow me also to make a comment on President Museveni's tours?
In fairness, I gave you the time. You decided to use it the way you
No,
wanted
I
to use
asked you to allow me.
Hold it a moment. Let me come
Will
back
they
to you.
attack my part and my president? I keep quiet.
let me
You would
come
have
back
the
to you.
At least I
time.
was decent to listen.
You
as
would
they
have
were
the time
speaking.
to respond.
Let me come back to you in a moment. Let me first
Continue
put this
listening
question to-
because I am here. You will not listen to
Barnabas,
every
I know you
attack.
are worried because the president is coming to your constituency tomorrow and you fear him. That's here you are flaring like you had never,
I don't fear him.
You do.
He's my president.
You are different.
Why
you are
would I-
different Barnabas that I was with
Why
last time.
why
She
would
also
I?
fears
Why
her
would I?
president. That's why she
Why
wants
would
to
I
defend
fear
him.
my party chairman?
She fears her president. That's why she wants to defend him.
For me,
Hold it a moment. Let's give an opportunity, and then I'll come to you in a moment.
okay, let her take the opportunity. We'll
Thank
see.
you. Thank you so much. For me, I am not worried of President Museveni's tours. So it's wrong for her to allege that the opposition does not want Museveni to move out. Okay? President Museveni has been walking out all the time, and people know he has nothing else to add to the population. What he has said, he has already said. This PDM program would have been helpful to people if President Museveni was good enough to listen to the voices of the representative in parliament. Because members of parliament spoke to Museveni to advise them on what they needed to do best. But he was very, very adamant. You cannot send the same amount of money to parishes with very big population as those with very small population. Okay?
You're in parliament.
These
That's
are
your
things.
role.
No, your president refused to listen to these voices, and that's why I'm talking about
The
it. okay?
president doesn't sit
Let
in
me
the
tell
parliament.
you,
you
some of
sit
us
in.
that have studied economics, you know, President Museveni has a prime minister there, doesn't he? Some of us that have studied economics, we know which money you can give to people, and it helps them substantially economically. Okay, not just handouts. As she mentions, people who went.
What would you do differently if you were in charge?
Yes, exactly what I want to talk about. You can't simply talk of giving money and then they go and do pigs and do what, and you say now they've been able to come out of the poverty line. Okay. Do you know, does she know what would we have done differently? First of all, let me tell you that our people spend a lot of money for health. Last week, I met someone who spends 1.2 million shillings. He's a prostate cancer victim. He spends 1.2 million shillings monthly. In an economy, a country like ours, where there are no drugs and every poor person has to spend money, tell me how your 6 pigs will help this person to get out of the poverty line. Okay? I just helped my aunt to undergo an operation in Roharo Hospital. She's still there. We have spent more than a government hospital. We have spent more than 1 million shillings to operate her eyes. Imagine a poor person does not have a daughter like Aisha who will help her to meet this bill. A government that is responsible enough and would like to help its people come out of poverty, first, what do? You make sure the first line services that people cannot do without, they can access them. Okay? Make sure there is their health, the health facilities are functional.
You're a member of
You
parliament.
ask what would we have done differently?
You are a member of parliament. What have you done?
I have said this thing in your parliament, but this parliament
It is
is
not your parliament. It
Charles,
is you.
since we are four on the show,
So the money they
she
give
can,
to people,
she can buy her own airtime
Let me summarize
and
this.
come for 2 hours and talk.
Can
Eh?
they
But
weigh
in
how
the
much time
circumstances
they use?
where all of
The
us
money-
are,
the money they give to people as
please
handouts,
make sure that
they
all
use
of us
them for
speak.
wedding.
Do
People
you
use
have an
this money for
agenda? Do
wedding.
you have an agenda that you're selling to the public when your party president is doing national
we
tours?
exactly
There's no
do
agenda.
have an agenda.
What is that?
When we mean health services for all. We don't need health services for some people. Where Barnabas gets sick and we expatriate, we take him outside for treatment. Okay? The first thing to do, I've told you, make sure that the basic services are there free for people.
As a member of
Health
parliament,
is free.
As a member of parliament, don't you have the same privileges as Barnabas has?
But have I argued that I want her to be excluded of the privileges? I don't want to get the privileges while the rest of my relatives cannot get them.
think Honorable
Not even my children. Let me tell you, Parliament.
I think you're telling us that you failed
Parliament
on your
only
role.
gives me access to 5 people, by the way. Parliament of Uganda can only support me plus 5. That is me, my husband, and 4. I told you everyone knows, if you can check, that I have 10 children. Where do the other 5 children go, if I may ask? Where do my parents go? So I need a government that will take care of, first of all, the first basic line services, the basic needs that everyone wants. Don't tell me handouts that go to people while the services I need cannot be taken care of with handouts.
Thank you. Barnabas, let me come back to you.
Honorable is telling us she has
And
clearly
I would
failed.
want her to listen.
She has failed on her
The
legislative
thing I like about
Let me put a
Honorable
question.
Semoju, he listens a lot.
Let me put a question to
You've failed
Barnabas
on your
Tinkasimene. The many observers who say you got quite a pushback as a party in the last election, and you're feeling the pressure, and you're trying to respond to that pressure. You saw the crowds that turned out for Bobi Wine in Kisoro. They have a candidate which would have been unimaginable a few years ago. You saw what happened in other by-elections, both for this term and the previous term, that the opposition seems to be making inroads even in traditional NRM strongholds, and that your party chairman is responding to those pressures.
No, I have told you we are ready for a showdown. We are not cowards. I agree, because we have seen particularly the young people trying to say they will support Bobi Wine. And we are also saying we have an agenda. That's why we are here. And we are refusing Honorable Esha Kabanda to confuse our viewers that for them, when they come into power, they will concentrate on health services. What are you trying to kill a population like Uganda? No. We have a vision as NRM. Our vision is to truly transform the ordinary person. Why the president is going on the ground is to make sure that he builds capacity in the ordinary man to have a decent house, to have that capacity to have sufficient food at home. You know that food is the first medicine. 3, to have a capacity, even in the circumstance, because we have established these health centers, schools, but the president is asking, why are these children not remaining in these schools? The parent, according to the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, Article 34, a parent has a responsibility to raise their children. He must participate, and the participation is in at least dressing the child. If he has no money to dress the child, that child will not go to school. That's why the president is saying, no, the parent, you are complaining you don't have some small money. The money is here. Carry on. We are saying the president is down to mobilize people to have a capacity, to have money. In case they feel sick, they can be able to treat themselves.
Yes.
The
health system,
yes.
The health system here and even in the entire world, the disease she's talking about, the prostate cancer, there is no government that treats it. All the people, even first world countries, It is the family that carries the burden. Carries the burden. Even in US, where they have advanced insurance system, health insurance system, it is the family that has, because the insurers cannot carry the cost. And if you are going to have that population that cannot carry that cost, and you say, I am providing health centers, no, you must make sure that on top of the health centers, you mobilize your people to have that capacity to carry on that extra responsibility. And developing this country is not for President Museveni alone. It's for all its citizens. The president is doing what is right. Even when you have a child at home and a child has started walking, you will not just say, since the child has started walking, I will not see how he's walking. No. You see where he can fall on a stair. And we have had such cases. There are people who are in this venture successfully, and there are those ones who have failed to make it. They have met maybe a hailstorm, a disaster, and he's checking what is going on. For me, that's proper and fitting. If you want to call it a campaign, okay, you also organize yours, and we see what you are going to organize. You will organize a caricature of a program, and we will beat you hands down. That's why I have told them that we are ready for a showdown.
Is the president in your constituency on your invitation or his own program?
He's the president of the Republic of Uganda.
Yes.
He is going there to see his people. It is not my invitation. He's going to see his people. He has a program. He has an agenda. I have told you. He has an agenda. He has an agenda. And where things may not be going well, he has to ask questions.
What do you see? How do you see the landscape shaping for 2026 from where you sit?
Certainly. That's why I've told you that what I see, I am not worried. Whether we leave Bobi Wine to walk anywhere in the countryside with no agenda, the people will know that he has no agenda. They will get very excited. We will vote and we will win.
George Muhimbis is watching us.
Uganda, by the way, for the record, Honorable Aisha Kabanda, Honorable Semuju, and myself must know that this is Uganda, not USA.
What does that mean?
And what do you insinuate?
Not USA.
What does that mean?
Our democracy is still young, is being developed. And the president has done what he can do.
Has had 40 years.
Okay.
Yes, he has done. 40 years is not an equivalent of US's democracy of 260 years old.
George Muhimbis is watching us and says, parish development model stands on 7 pillars: production, storage, processing and marketing, infrastructure and economic services, financial inclusion, social services, mindset change, parish-based management information system, governance and administration. Of all these pillars, we only see financial inclusion. We don't see any mindset change program or any of the other pillars. So it's dead on arrival. Secondly, besides early campaigns, the president is simply doing some sort of tourism, but not an assessment of a government program. For example, what tools of assessment is he using? What is his sample size? What is his sampling procedure? How is he arriving at a sample, for example? If 500 people received PDM money in a specific sub-county and they show him 2 farmers who are better off, would that be enough sample size to conclude that the program is successful? How sure are we that the president is not being duped? Government should rather allocate money to agencies like National Planning Authority to do a technical assessment other than this politicking. I think it's a waste of our resources. George Muhimbese.
Development is not academic. Those things of saying that there should be a particular mindset.
No, he's reading a concept of.
Yes, he is. But he thinks that there is no mindset change going on.
Okay.
I want to give you an example. When the president goes on the podium and he says, start going to the garden with the mathematics, what is he doing? He's telling people, stop going to the garden and just plant without putting mathematics. He's doing mindset change. He's doing mindset change. And he's telling people, make sure that you use irrigation in the circumstances that you have dry spells. Add manure. That is mindset change. He's telling people the other system of long ago cannot work anymore.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Hey, you are disturbed, because your theory.
No, I can argue out that. Let me tell you.
Hold it a moment.
By the way, those things were right from the Bonaba Gagole program 10 years back. And
Someone
nothing's
called
been achieved.
No,
we are still the ones in charge.
Mr. Tinkasime, can I read
We
this
are
message?
still the ones in charge.
Can you hold it
If
for a
you
moment?
want,
Second, I'm helping him.
if you want,
hold
you
it a
will
moment?
baptize it yours,
When
your
Bonaga
name.
Gagole
But
takes
as of now, we can call it Bonaga Bagagawale Parish Development Model, Emioga, and any other name. That's what we prefer.
Can
You want
I
to
take some of these messages?
If you want to contribute to the naming,
Honorable
come to
Tinkasime,
NRM.
Can I take this
She was
message?
there, she's about
Kachumita
to
says,
come back.
Uganda is sweet and sour. It all depends on which side you fall. All in all, as a responsible citizen, I aspire to see policy leaning to the majority poor. Thank you. Wow, this is a message. We wish to know from MPs the fate of the National Health Insurance Scheme bill. If the scheme was in place, Honorable Aisha Kabanda's mother would benefit without Aisha having to foot the bills. This is a message from Ambassador Richard Nduhura. Your members of parliament, I have 3 here. Can you quickly respond to this? Starting with you, Honorable Kabanda.
No, they can speak about the national health insurance policy. It started during the I wasn't there. Since I went to parliament, hasn't come. And as a private member of as a member of parliament, I cannot bring a bill that has financial implications. He knows. Government started it and dropped it underway. But I would like to remind my colleague that the principles the listener enumerated there are not his own principles. They're embedded within the policy when it was brought by government. And I want to tell you, none of other things has been done except the financial element. I think because within them, a lot of money that is appropriated, part of it goes to pockets of private independent people. Just 1 second, if that policy had been, and Uganda is full of very good policies that are never implemented, if that policy had been implemented the way it is, let me tell you, nothing will help people if we don't provide market for what they produce. They produce lots of things, but there's no market for them. There are no storage facilities, okay? Other than for us splashing money here and there. It's, by the way, for her information, it has not just started 2 years back. It is simply changing names. These names have changed from Entandikwa to Bonabagagawale to so many other things, but it's the same policy. Can we see us having other things that will help the people to come out of this poverty? If you need to boost production, make sure the marketing is clear, make sure there are storage facilities, improve on the transportation, the cooling system should be there. They will have helped people.
Thank you.
But even what Salim Saleh started, I remember. Afonde Salim Saleh started a program in his area. Was it Munkekera, something like that? I saw big coolants, very big vehicles, where they were going to buy supplies from people, tomatoes, pineapple. That would have been a good thing. I don't know how it collapsed. We thought it was going to start from there and then spread over the whole country. It ended with him and his area.
Have you been
to
Kapeka?
NRM is. I went there when I was RDC and ended that time. NRM just lies people onto good policies and stops there. And the rest of the thing what they do is politicking.
Okay. Someone here says, but how are you going to separate the visit made by Museveni as a president from those when he is an aspirant to be? Honorable Semujungana, I want to come to you. Where are your leaders? Where are they mobilizing?
Mobilizing for what?
I am asking you. Where are they? What are they mobilizing?
If this is in disarray.
You see, I want to go back to what Museveni wrote in one of his books. I don't know what has excited Tinkasimile today.
The president's visit.
The one that I know I have been with in Parliament is completely different from the one who is now. I'm trying to find a word that will be polite. Museveni in his book said, what is Africa's problems? The issues that Tinkasimile was talking about yesterday, today Tinkasimile is singing PDM. we need to resolve these issues. When I had an opportunity for a debate with Museveni, I told him, and forgive me for repeating myself, I told him the trouble with Uganda is that at the beginning of his administration, Uganda was the project. Along the way, Museveni became the project. I was here on a NBS morning program, responding to many of the letters he has written, quarreling that the amount of money we are spending, particularly on coffee, it is money we should be using for road construction, etc. I give very small examples. We pass a budget, the three of us. In this year's budget, Museveni has 150 billion for donation. And the money for coffee, which he says now is a wastage, is just 40 billion. The reason I told him...
So how many roads are
he
donating out?
The reason I told him he had become the project and not the country is because of where we direct our investment. And it doesn't matter how many people you hire to go on radio and TV and sing PDM. Look, we have an economy that is almost collapsing. Mm-hmm. We have passed a budget, a budget of 72 trillion. The money that URA will collect this year, the projection is 32. We have a debt to service of 34 trillion, which has become the number one item in our budget, debt servicing. And Kikasime were in Parliament. Our argument was on where we are investing in workshops, 300 billion, buying fuel, 300 billion, buying vehicles, transport alone, we are spending 750 billion. So when we make this argument, and then you're asking me what is your agenda, even if I don't have an agenda, if I hired a Makerere lecturer, in 2 days he will give me the programs that you're talking about. So that isn't such a difficult thing to do. Even Museveni, when he went to Ruwero, what was his agenda to fight? He went to the one agenda that they had rigged the election, he went to remove Obote. And then for the next 5 years, he was killing people to come into power. Then they finalized the NRM 10-point program in Irubiri. So really, we should stop being academic. You're talking about people's lives. The trouble that we need to deal with, because you see, I have said this and the risk of repeating myself. Countries that go to war, it is not because they lack the infrastructure. Sudan, Khartoum, at the time of independence, the only city in Europe that was better than Khartoum was London. Khartoum was better than all these Brussels. It is now up in flames. Why? They have failed to deal with governance issues. For me, that's the contribution I want to make. The moment you've sorted out governance issues and you are certain of tomorrow, tell me, Tinkasimire.
How do you sort out
tell
governance
me,
issues?
Tinkasimire, which investor, with the exception of the fortune hunter, will bring 100, 200 million US dollars into a country whose future that investor cannot guarantee? Because you don't know whether the son will be the president tomorrow, whether the wife, whether the brother, whether what. Until we've dealt with those issues, then these issues of distribution...
How do you deal with those issues, Honorable Semu Chunganda, when you as a member, a ranking member of the opposition, keeps focus on President Yoweri Museveni instead of your own plans as an opposition member?
In every country,
to articulate how you think
in every country where you have a strong man holding the state and he actually becomes the state, you will be speaking about the same person, the same way Kenyans we are speaking about Moi. The same way...
and what did they do about it? How were they able to get Moi out?
Of course, you had a lot of players involved in bringing an end to Moi's era. You had a lot of players who discussed the end and participated discussing Kamuzu Banda, to J. Rawlings, to all those strong men where they have existed. In fact, For me, my worry now is not how many people are going to get out of poverty tomorrow, but plunging this country into uncertainty. Sudan is fighting. Sudan, both of them are fighting.
You can give the example of Sudan fighting. Hold it a moment.
Yes.
You can give the example of Sudan fighting, but someone will give example and say, a political party in Botswana was in power for 56 years. An opposition member was able to get it out of power.
Yeah.
You could talk about the struggles of politicians in Senegal, for example. You could talk about Ghana. You could talk about other examples. Why would you choose the other examples? And as a journalist, as a former journalist yourself, you know that the number of mentions of President Museveni in the last 1.5 hours we have been on air actually promotes him more than mobilizes people
So after promoting,
towards his those who are challenging him.
is that the reason he picks guns during
No, I'm
the
asking
election?
you.
I'm also asking you.
Yes.
So when we promote him
the
here
question I'm asking-
and I
He
mention
gets
his
angry.
name 100 times, is that the reason he picks guns to shoot at his opponents?
You lose the opportunity.
We went in the last elections.
Don't you lose the
I
opportunity?
was in charge of the FDC elections, including nomination. Did I take a candidate for nomination?
Don't you lose
There
the
is
opportunity
no opportunity, Charles. We can
to
pretend about.
sell your own program?
We can no.
to
I mean,
market your own.
In Uganda, it is not programs competing. In Uganda,
How
you
do
go.
you
You
get
go for.
programs to compete?
You go in any election where it is guns against citizens.
How do you get
Children
programs to compete?
who were arrested in the last elections
They're still
are
in
being
jail.
forced to confess to crimes they have
Yeah.
not committed for them to be
How
released.
do you get programs
Those
to
are the
compete?
issues you deal with. The moment you are
Tell
done
them
with
about
governance
poverty
issues and rule of law, then you can discuss distribution of seedlings, PDM, who gets from poverty. Countries are up in flame just because they have failed governance issues. That's the matter for which I and Tinkasim and many MPs have been key players in Parliament. I am surprised that Tinkasim today is focusing on mango and beans and how we say.
No. But, I am quite honest
Until
to the people that we lead.
Until
You are not going to keep leading proletariats and mobilizing them to into protests.
until you have.
You
until
need
you-
to have
until
people
you have
who
resolved-
have an agenda
until you have resolved
that,
those issues,
for instance,
Tinkasim.
Kini
I
Kalisa
saw you
has a
with
stake
the-
when he's discussing
You are looking-
on matters of the
you are
stability of
looking
this
around
country.
the country
He
with
knows he has
your
invested in this
group.
country.
And then you said you wanted to identify the people who are earning 3 million per year. As
Oh,
you
no,
said that day.
we said
And
20
you said
million.
You did not find them.
20
So
million.
have they
We were
fallen-
very honest.
Have they fallen from heaven like rain?
Let's take a break and
No,
pick this
that's a
conversation
long
up in a
time
moment.
ago. That's a
but
long
Tinkasim,
time ago
let-
during
let-
the
let's
time
pick-
of Bonap.
Let's pick